Hello everyone, Alyssa Garcia here with Uplifting Designs and Marketing, and today I'm going to show you my workflow on how I insert covers into the Image Apothecary Images. And if you haven't heard of the Image Apothecary, it is a boutique stock site started by Regina Wamba, and let me tell you guys, I have seen authors' sales and marketing personally take off because of using these Image Apothecary images. If you've never heard of them, there is a link in the description. You can find it below, and it is an affiliate link, so if you decide to buy or subscribe, I do receive a small commission for you doing that. There's also an Adobe Photoshop free trial in the description that is also an affiliate link. So if you guys have never tried, or if you've never tried Adobe Photoshop before, you can try a free trial, and then after that it's only $10 a month, which is very affordable. It's much more affordable than it used to be. Without further ado, let's dig into my workflow on how I insert images into the Image Apothecary images. Okay. And just another side note, I am using the newest Adobe Photoshop CC 2019 version. If you're using anything older than that, you still need to hold down the Shift key in order to keep perspective. That way things don't look stretched out or blown out of proportion. And yeah, just please use the Shift key, or if you're in CC 2019, stop using the Shift key. You no longer need it. I still have a hard time with that transition. So okay, let's get started. I actually just already went ahead and edited some of this. I kind of clean up some of the edges, and you can kind of see how I did that. And I just used the clone stamp tool. I'm not going to go into how I use it. I may do a tutorial on using the clone stamp tool later on. But it's not something that's really important to do unless you have a white cover. If you have a cover that is white, I do recommend going ahead and doing this because all the flaws will show through, and it's just wear and tear on the book. It happens with as many images as Yuli and Regina are taking. So anyway, I cleaned up some of the rough spots. You can see when I toggle it on and off, the little pink on the spine and some smudges are cleaned up. Okay, so let's start with using the rectangle tool. And it's in the toolbar. It may have one of these showing. And if it does, just hold down on whatever tool is right here, whether it be the line tool or the ellipse tool or whatever. Hold down click on it. Except it's not working for me right now. Hold down a click on top of this and just select the rectangle tool. And we're going to start with just clicking anywhere in the image and doing 6 inches by 9 inches. This is what a typical cover size will be, especially if your cover designer does the iBooks cover. And I know it usually works for Amazon. Amazon does prefer 5 by 8 though, so I usually do both for my clients and then use the 6 by 9 when I'm doing Image Apothecary images. And I'm going to change this to a brighter color, so let's do pink. And then I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. So I just hit Command T, and I'm going to hold down the Shift because you do still need to hold down the Shift for a rectangle tool, and just make it a little bit bigger so that way when I put it on the cover, it's not blown out of proportion. And I'm actually going to mess up on purpose for a second so you can see what I mean. Because at this point, you really need to stop. Do not do what I'm about to do because this needs to be transformed to a smart object before you do anything. But let's say you accidentally, say started the transform process, commit the changes, lower the opacity, and you're like, oh no, I didn't transform this to a smart object first. So if you do that, whatever you did before you transformed it to a smart object is going to make it to a smart object. So we're actually going to undo all of this. Undo. Okay, so it's straight. Now we're going to right click in the layers panel and convert to a smart object. And now when you double click on it, it's just a straight cover. Okay, we're going to lower the opacity hit Command T to transform, and just get it onto the book cover. Distort. And you'll see it when we get to the back, but when you are worried about when you have the spine, when it's like this, make sure you drag it all the way out to the bend of the spine. The cover does not stop there. Think about when it's closed, you're going to go all the way to the edge, to the bend of the spine. And you just get this as close to the edge as possible. Okay. So that one was fairly easy. Now we're going to do it again for the back cover. Click anywhere, 6 inches by 9 inches, back cover. Make this a little bit bigger. And we're going to change the color to, let's say, green. Convert to a smart object. You can come over here and name these two. Do front cover, back cover. Lower the opacity and transform. Okay. Right click and go to distort. And remember, go to the edge of the spine. Now doing this will leave you a bit of a gap. Oops, moved up, not. So you'll see when I finish lining things up. You'll see that there's a bit of a gap here. I'll show you how to clean that up in a little bit. That up. Still see some white. You don't want to see any white. Okay. A little, not go far enough over here. Didn't go quite far enough here. Pull it over, and I think I went a little too far at the top. Okay, now we're going to do the spine. The spine we do 1 inch by 9 inch. And I do have the added benefit of being a cover designer. So when I do my clients' covers, I actually design them in on a 13 by 9 template, which allows a 6 by 9 front cover, a 6 by 9 back cover, and a 1 inch by 9 inch spine. So again, we're going to spine, right click, convert to smart object, then lower the opacity and get it onto the spine. Okay, right click and distort. And I am holding down the shift key here. If you don't, it tries to line it up with things on with points on the image. And I do line it up starting out, then I kind of warp it to fix it. But I do line it up with the edges of these covers. Okay, so now we're going to go back down to the bottom. I'm going to right click again and warp this down. Okay, and do the same with the top. Okay. Now I'm going to come over here and group these three together by hitting Command and just clicking on each one of them, and then hitting the file, and it comes up into a group. Now they're all together. And so now when I mask, it masks the entire group, and I'll explain what masking is in just a second. And then if I need to come in and fix these, I don't have to unlink the mask in order to fix it. Okay, so they're all grouped, and we're gonna put a mask on. It is the little rectangle with the circle in the middle. And you see it's a white. So you want to use a brush tool with black, and that erases things. Now, if you were to use the actual eraser tool, you would not be able to erase and then bring it back later if you needed to work on it later or whatever you were doing. It is a destructive tool. Masking is a non-destructive tool. So you see white, you're going to paint on black to conceal, and if you need to bring something back, white reveals. So black conceals, white reveals. All right, so now let's get going on erasing. I'm actually going to use a soft edge brush, so lower the hardness to about 30%, and zoom in. And the opacity at 100, flow at 100. And then we're going to come over here, except I'm not using the brush. I'm still on the mask. Okay, so mask, hardness, the brush tool, brush tool, black brush, hardness at around 30%, blend mode normal, opacity 100, and flow at 100. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, and you can make it bigger or smaller using the bracket keys to the right of the P. And I'm just going to come in and erase these edges. And then I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more and make my brush a little bit smaller. And I'm going to click and use the Shift key. And it keeps the line smooth and straight. Click and hold down the Shift key and click again. And you just do that all the way around. And like I said, it just smooths out the edges just a little bit. On the curve, I'm not currently using the Shift key, but when there's like a straight line, I use the Shift key. And then finish erasing on the finger. Okay, and you come up here and do the same to this part of the finger. And I just hit the X to toggle back and forth between white and black. So if I mess up and go too far, when I have it in black, I can come hit the X, back on white, and I can fix whatever mistake that I made. Would not be able to do that if you were using the eraser tool. All right, we're gonna scoot on over to the back cover and do the finger over here. Oops, went too far down. And lower the opacity on the green just a little bit more. Okay. Make sure your mask is selected. Erase some of these other spots first. All right. And do the same thing. Click and shift to keep your line straight and smooth. All right. All right, now to do this finger, same thing. All right, now to clean up the edges, I'm going to use a harder brush. So we're going to go up to about 75%. And then I'm going to do shift click again. So click and shift and click again. And it just keeps the line straight and smooth. Same on this side. Just kind of go around the edges and see. Oops. Bring some of that curve back in. We're going to bring some of that back just a tad. That's where I messed up here. All right, zoom out and kind of see. I'm going to bring up the opacity. Oops. Select all. Bring up the opacity to 100%. You can see if there's any weird spots. Oops. Command Z to undo and then go back to black. Or pink spots I didn't get. I think that looks pretty good. All right, now we are going to insert our covers. So come over to the layers panel and just double click on this little square thing over here. And pull in your cover. I'm going to pull in an Apple Books cover. If I can find it. Okay, Apple Books cover. Pull in here, and the Apple Books cover that I do are 6x9. So that is the size that we used. And then the back cover. And since I am a cover designer, when I'm doing these for my cover design clients, I do have the added benefit of being able to take the guy or whatever's on the front if it wraps around to the back. So that way I don't have to worry about lining up that edge because it can be a pain in the rear. And I'm hitting Command Save. If you hit the X, you'll be prompted to save and just save. And then also I'm holding down the Option or Alt key if you're on a PC, and it pulls it out from the center. So it keeps things aligned. Command S and then X out. All right, I'm going to fix a few things here. Oops. So things line up a little bit better. Let's see. still aren't quite lined up, so I'm gonna, well, there's like a weird black line that's still there. All right, one more time. Let's see if it gets rid of it now. It might actually just be here. Okay, we're just gonna deal with it. Okay, so at this point in time, it looks just like a digital cover thrown on. Now, I have seen some people come in and just lower the opacity. Do not do that. Do not just lower the opacity. I'm going to show you how to make it look realistic and blend in with the image overall, because each image does have its own lighting and coloring and whatnot. So when you are on a white book cover, you are going to use blend modes darken or multiply, depending on which one looks best. So I'm just going to select the entire group, and where it says pass through, if you are on just an individual layer, it will say normal. But where it says pass through to the left of the opacity, you just click the drop down menu and then you hold it over darken. If you're in an earlier version, you'll actually have to click on darken or click on multiply. And in this case, multiply actually looks the best because it makes it look like it's just on the book and in the image and not just a digital image slapped on with the opacity lowered. Please don't do that. And we're just going to come in here. You can kind of see things are off. It's going to drive me insane. Let me see if I can fix that. A bit of OCD. Fixed it a little bit. You can still see where it doesn't quite blend in. And that's what I was talking about with the spine. If we had the dude wrapped around like the full cover actually looks like, because his jacket kind of wraps around all the way to the back, it would be a pain. But this, for this purposes, it looks good. You can spend all day trying to get it lined up, messing with the warp tool and the distort tool, trying to get it lined up. But we're not going to worry about that today. So remember, do not lower the opacity. Use the blend modes. Darken or multiply for a cover, for a white book cover. If you are going to insert onto a screen, you need to use lighten or screen. I am, however, going to do a really quick run through on how the spines work on books that are just flat like this, because I have seen people that take it all the way over, take the front cover all the way over, and that is incorrect. You want to put the spine on the book to make it look more realistic. So click on the rectangle tool, and again, I'm just going to go through this really fast, so I'm not going to explain everything that I'm doing step by step. Convert to a smart object, lower the opacity. So my computer is going to run slow. And right click and distort, and make sure you go to the bend of the spine. Do not stop it here. That is not where the front cover ends and the spine begins. The front cover goes to the bend of the spine. Same with the back cover. All right, 1 inch by 9 inch for the spine. Smart object, lower the opacity. Let's see. Okay, so use the distort tool, line it up with this top cover, distort tool to bring it down, and then use the warp tool to kind of line things up here and here. And here. Okay. It's not perfect, but you can kind of see what it does. So now we're going to insert the book covers. Double click to commit changes, Command save, or Command S. And the spine. Double click, Command S. Okay, bring up the opacity, make sure we don't have any white. I think we're good. Okay, so now we're going to do the blend modes again. You see darken or multiply. And I don't really like the way the coloring does when it does darken. It kind of distorts his shirt just a little bit, and I'm not a fan of that. So we're gonna do multiply and zoom out, and it looks like it's on the book. So that was my tutorial. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. If you need any help, or Adobe Photoshop, or you want to visit the Image Apothecary because you haven't already, there are links in the description. And one more quick tip, I do recommend cropping things crazy because there are a lot of people in our industry that use these. So kind of crop and maybe turn things, and then things look a little bit different when you share it on your socials. So you can crop like that. And now it looks like a completely different image. We've taken the girl out of it. You have a book and a hat and suntan lotion, and it looks different from someone else's image. So anyway, so that was just a little side note tip that I was thinking about before I turned this tutorial off. And yeah, again, if you need any help, please do not hesitate to email me or private message me, whatever. I do try to help out wherever I can. So hope you guys have a great day. Thank you.